It's going to happen. Connecting. Yes!
We did it. We found you.
Thank you, guys.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
No biggie. Like I said, I had a hard time logging in myself, and I was freaking out because it was like 10:01, 10:02. Can you hear me?
Like scrambling. I'm like, it's not this, it's not that. What are we doing wrong? And then here we got it.
Push them all. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I got welcome. And for anybody that just tuned in, like last second, again, I'm Roger from Reco Brooklyn, and this is Ivy and Audie from Siosi Design. You guys might recognize this hat. It's seen a lot of use. And I'm doing a takeover for Robert today. Robert is insanely busy. He's trying to do things that he's out of his mind for trying to do because the effort involved is insane, but he's the type of guy that's just going to do it. So he's moving an entire lumber yard right now. I don't envy him, and I am psyched that I get to do this takeover. So I came up with a bunch of questions for you guys, and I'm just going to ask questions, all right?
Let's do it.
Start. Number one, you two are a couple.
Yes.
How long have you been together?
10 years.
Sorry?
10 years.
10 years. I was excited about that. And how long have you been woodworking as a business?
8 years.
8 years. Okay. So how did you get started in woodworking? Like, did you have a background in it? Was it ever a hobby? Did you ever go to school? Did you guys both have a woodworking background before you decided to do this?
No, not really. We're primarily self-taught. When I was in grad school, I took a really short course in woodworking, but it was like, once a week, and over the course of a semester, you make one thing. And I made myself a little dining table, and I just fell in love with the wood shop and learned like the bare minimum basics. I mean, like I made that table totally wrong, but fixed it later. And then I just fell in love with that process. And after grad school, I was like, I don't really want to be a photography professor. I don't really want to do the academia thing. And Ivy and I work really well together. So we were like, well, let's just kind of see what we can learn and start doing some woodworking and see if we can turn that into a business. And then 8 years later, it's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. So, like learning is like YouTube and books, but mainly trial and error. That's really how it's just like getting in there, making mistakes, and having like our own shop in order to be able to make those mistakes and learn as we went.
Right on. Ivy, what about you? What was your background before furniture design?
My background is in studio art and sculpture and automotive restoration.
Oh, wow.
All those things together, wood is just another medium.
For sure.
That's how I look at it. And
so there was already a bunch of envision with the mind and make with the hands going on. There was sort of mechanical aptitude and hands-on, and settled on doing furniture out of wood. To make that so many other ways, it seems like it could have gone, but I'm really glad that it landed here because I think that woodworking can use that type of fresh, voice and aesthetic. And what are some of your inspirations when it comes to furniture design and making?
I think a lot of inspiration comes just from ensuring that function considered, and then just like intuition of shape and feels.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is derived, I guess, just from nature and human patterns, really, like things that we do naturally. Like, for example, on a chair, you know, people always rub the arms, and
Yes.
a pleasant experience. So yeah, I guess that's been inspirational to just to think about it differently that way.
Yeah.
But of course, we have inspirations of previous designers, you know.
Are there any furniture makers that you guys like kind of hold as a special sort of, you know, guiding light design wise or aesthetically?
Yeah. Well, we have current likes. Our
So let's divide it in two then. Who would be like all-time inspiration of all the furniture makers ever, and then who would be like current on social media that we can all go take a look at?
well,
I mean, there's like the really obvious choices like Eames and Nakashima. Those people are undeniably valuable in every design that we do within reason. And then contemporary, Kyle Sabri, I'm a big, huge fan. And then
Yeah, work is awesome.
Julian
Who's
Watts is
Julian Watts.
Oh, I have to check that out.
He does a lot more sculptural stuff, but it's the surfaces that he creates are just absolutely like supple, like skin.
butter. Yeah, it's just like
Wow.
incredible work.
Yeah, and of
All right.
course Ryan Persico and but I'd also say that like Frank Lloyd Wright and yeah, he's a big inspiration.
And then, so my background's in photography, so I take cues from a lot of different photography as well, and like the kind of photography I like is sort of like simple and portraiture and like all about a really simple composition or a very basic but important moment. And I think that that kind of, you know, is a bit of a stretch, but it translates to my aesthetic preferences as well with furniture.
It definitely translates into having a sick feed because every photo is like a perfect photograph. There's no bad photos. They're all amazing photos. And so it just makes, it elevates the whole thing because it's not just the work, it's amazingly portrayed. That's such a valuable tool. And I think it helps with the whole effect of checking out what you guys have going on. So neither of you guys are like trained as woodworking, no woodworking schools or anything.
No.
Awesome. Self-taught, and it seems like a lot of intuition is coming through in the furniture. Like, did you ever study proportions and classic furniture proportions and things like that?
I mean, just in books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, absolutely.
How it related to studio art.
Gotcha.
Draw composition and stuff, and we pay attention to that quite a bit.
Well,
I think, you know, both of our backgrounds are in art, but also like just naturally, way I was born, I'm a very practical person. You know, I want everything to be very, I want everything to be done on time, and I want everything to be very functional. I want it to last forever, you know, so I'm thinking about a lot of different things as well as aesthetic.
those are good things to keep at the forefront in this gig.
You know, it's very obvious, but it's also just really natural to me, which also means like the business side of everything is kind of my jam too. You know, I like hanging out with and talking to clients. It's a ton of fun, and I like learning more about business, and I like learning more about woodworking and design and everything. And so I think it's sort of everything all in one has given me sort of this dream career because there's endless things to learn. It's never ending. You know,
Always.
a year ago, I learned how to steam bend, and I was like, "Whoa, this is fun! This is
Cool.
so many doors, you know." And I've never done veneer. You know, it's just it's never ending, and it's a really fun career. Challenging, but
That
fun.
brings up sort of the division of tasks between you two. So, Audie, you take care of a lot of the customer relations, and on the business. Ivy, I see you doing a good bit or most of all of the metal work that's in your pieces. how else do you guys divide up when you have, let's say you're really busy and there's a shit ton of work to do? Like, how does it typically get divvied up?
Audie tells me what to do.
It's from, okay, this is what we should prioritize today, or for the next week, and we just work it out.
Steel and Grain is checking out, but they said they're going to come back to watch the rest later. Bye, Steel and Grain. All right, so how do customers typically contact you guys?
Either through Instagram DMs or straight through email.
Uh-huh.
Every once in a while, somebody will call. I guess it's less common these days, but
Yeah, on it.
What's your preference?
Email's always good.
Yeah, I
They're good
agree.
that
to
way
feel people
we
out.
both see it too, and there's a greater chance that I'll know what's going on.
Sure.
Good, but sometimes they catch me a little off guard and I feel a little off my game, you know. So
Uh-huh.
email's good. It gives me time to think about what they're asking for, and it's a good. I'm a kind of a slow, thorough thinker, so it gives me time to think.
Yeah. I think I operate best the same way. Off the cuff, I can give you something, but if I can sit down and think about it, it's better. What about design-wise? Like if somebody contacted you and they said, okay, I love the market table, I love this piece, but what I really want is this. And then they give you this idea that's up your alley, but how do you guys work? Like, do one of you just say, I got this and figure it out the design, or do you collaborate?
We talk about it and make sure that we're both on the same page, and then we draw it out.
Can I just tell you both something right now? I want you to know that if Jeff Whitney doesn't think I'm onto him, he's crazy. Saw that come.
Oh my God. Puppy's on the table.
I think this is a good time to broach the subject of your puppy. Wynn seems to be 1,000 times larger than he was in photographs like a week ago.
Yes.
Working out for you guys. As facts.
It is challenging, to say the least, to have a huge puppy.
Yeah, he's huge.
I mean, I just am constantly reminding myself that it's not that she's that horrible, it's that she's just so huge.
Yeah. And she's only going to get bigger, but hopefully
She's also a little horrible, though.
less horrible.
She's pretty bad. She's very challenging.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because a lot of the photos on Instagram, she's just laying there
Right?
and she's not.
Sleeps all day. She's the best shop dog in the world.
Yes.
But then at home, she's nuts. And we
She's
live
rowdy.
in a 700 square foot apartment, so it's like, yeah, a lot.
Oh, Eric Johnson just commented and he's asking to please restock these flat brimmed hats.
Okay.
So just so you know, that was a request.
Gotcha.
Ivy, your name is the company. Tell me about the name Siosi. Where does that come from?
That comes from me and Audie. It actually comes from, so when Audie and I got together, I lived with her middle sister.
Mhm.
And we were friends from college, and a friend named Oscar that's from El Salvador, and he speaks really little English, and he just always tacked on COC at the end of everything.
Like, do you wanna go get a beer? See? Oh, see.
COC. So yes, yes.
Okay. So he's giving you the option of either say yes or you can say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it just became an inside joke that we, we had like a country accent that we said it. We just put it on the end of everything.
That's amazing. That's such a revelation because I'm like, is that like is she Italian? Siosi, what kind of name? So, okay.
Yeah, so the more we said it, the more we were like, well, it kind of sounds Italian. Oh, maybe it could be Spanish. Like, it could be.
Yeah.
We really liked the ambiguity of it. So we chose it together. And it's like Siosi, but, you say it in a Southern accent.
Right. Siosi.
Siosi. So we're like, oh, I think it can accommodate.
And then up here we're like, yes, Siosi.
Sound too pretentious.
It's a good logo. It's
Right.
it's not super symmetrical, but it might as well be. It looks great in all caps.
Yeah.
Plus, that's really interesting. As a company, what is important to you guys as not as Ivy and Audie, but as Siosi Design? What's really important to you guys?
I think we want to be conscious above everything else. You know, we want to be conscious of our predecessors and you know, social climates.
We want to be authentic and always, you know, who we are, and be careful where we get all of our materials, be aware. And then we also, you know, want details to just really be on point. And I think that that's hopefully what sets us apart, is just the intense sort of detail work
Okay.
that we do. And we want people to know that they're ordering a piece from just, you know, real people that are just trying to make this thing and this thing kind of happen, you know. We want people to care about who they're ordering from and be conscious of the individuals that are making their art.
Yeah. I really like the word authentic.
We want to make a good product. So
Yeah. Right on. My boy Jeff Whitney just asked me to ask the question. Robert had a standard list of questions, and he asked me if I wanted to use them, but I figured if I'm taking over, I'm going to take over, and so ask my own stuff. But the question that Jeff just reminded me of is, who would you take with you on a cross-country motorcycle trip?
alive or dead?
Let's just say the world is wide open and you can choose.
Well, I would always choose to take Michael Jackson with me wherever I go.
Okay. Can you ride him?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely, yeah.
So the pop. How about you, Audie?
Michelle Obama. I mean, conversation would be good. We'll have the helmets where you have a little microphone and you can chat the whole time.
Are you gonna?
She can teach me about life and how to be a better person.
Are you gonna let me drive?
I'm gonna keep.
For bikes.
Oh, separate bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There'd be 4 bikes, so you each get one. And while we're on
We can all.
yeah, what would be Ivy? What would be your motorcycle of choice for a cross-country trip with Michelle and Michael?
Cross country. Boy, I would want it to last forever, so I'd go with something small like a moped.
Yeah. What's the rush?
I just take the back roads the whole way.
A moped trip across country. Can you see Michelle Obama on a moped? I figured that she would have a crew. I see a lot of black leather in Michelle Obama's whole ensemble. I think it's a and it's totally badass, and it's the type of thing where biker dudes are gonna check it out and be like, "Oh wait, that's a woman." But then there's gonna be you on the moped behind.
Yeah, maybe 4 Suzuki Loves.
Okay.
That sounds cute.
What would Michael Jackson's ride of choice be if he was gonna do a publicized cross-country motorcycle trip? What pop choose?
He had one of the Suzuki Pepsi. I think it's the 650. I forget what they're called, but
We got Suzuki girls here. I see. Fine. It's fine.
I'm not a Suzuki girl. So we're both Honda girls.
That'd be a pretty cool trip.
Yeah.
Got bunch more questions here. Before we get to the new shop and the new house, which I really can't wait to hear about, let's talk about what it's like being women and being a couple in the realm of woodworking. And I know that things aren't the way they used to be, and everybody is into woodworking now, and it's really awesome to see so much flavor. But have there been any challenges to you guys? Anything from weird looks at the lumberyard, or what's it been like for you?
I think the people that know, and they're fun. Then there's some more rural country folk that we find ourselves around sometimes, and they, ask if we're married or like to men.
And we're just like,
No.
no.
So as far as that goes, we don't really address it.
Well,
Or we can, sometimes we can't be out around certain people. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but
I mean, I guess it helps that you guys have your own shop. You know, here in New York, that's difficult to do for a lot of people, and there were a bunch of community shops where you can join. And I guess because of that, I got to see a little bit more of like, what does she think she's doing over there? You know, like I got to experience more of that, which I thought was unfortunate. But if there's ever been an inspirational story about people out of the normal metal workers really making an awesome impact, I think you two are in that story.
Thank you. I mean, I will say that mostly the response that we get is people being like, "Oh, wow, that's really awesome. You guys do this full time, and you have your own shop, and you're making." A lot of it though just comes down to like the physical. They're like, people are really curious. How do you lift those big slabs? How do you guys like manage these really huge tables? And our response is usually, leverage and teamwork.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Bully Rose just wrote a question. He wrote, do you find it difficult to keep up the intense attention to detail in your work with time constraints? And how do you work with that?
We're working towards loosening our time constraints more and more.
That is a huge challenge. I mean, being awful.
Puppies.
He was just sleeping right before this, of course.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge because you want to get that job, and so you're like, oh yeah, I can have that done, by October, and then it's October, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be really tricky. So I guess there is tons of hours. I mean, we work all the time. We work 7 days a week. We only take days off like when we have like a little bit of time, and it's not ideal and it's not sustainable, but that's where we find ourselves right now, and we're hoping to loosen up those deadlines. But it's hard. It's easier said than done because you're always trying to, get those jobs. And particularly with slab work, you just feel so lucky to get this awesome job and to work this really beautiful piece of wood. And so you just sort of want to make that deadline as close as possible.
Right on.
We're working on it.
Do you
process, right?
do you have like a certain lead time window for certain type of pieces that you try to stick to, or does it depend on your workload and what you have going on?
It really depends. I mean, we can have a market dining table done in a month, but that's only if we don't have much else going on. And right now, so slammed. I mean, we're more or less booked for the rest of the year. We can fit a couple small things in there. So we're just kind of crossing our fingers that people are willing to wait right now.
Gotcha. I'm sure it won't be an issue. Okay, wait, we got one more question from Screws and Sawdust. They found you through Shaper. Love your work, ordered a Shaper. The question is, what was the first thing you made using it, and do you incorporate it a lot into your work?
I think the very first thing we used Shaper for was our Maker's Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just make like this perfect Siosi with it, and it was perfect every time and really simple. So now we put that on the bottom of almost everything that we make.
Right on. Did you name it?
The Shaper?
Yeah.
No,
We didn't.
I haven't named it yet.
Okay.
And they came to our shop, and they're the funniest, sweetest people ever.
Love
Look,
them.
you guys had a good time.
Like, we're legit buddies with these people. Like, we just text sometimes,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, incorporating it into our work too is we've done some inlays with it, and it works really well for us on really big inlays.
Yeah.
Those can be really challenging sometimes, and it's easy to. It just takes the guesswork out of it, it takes the possibility of a big mistake out of it. So lay the groundwork with that, and then come back in later and kind of stitch in the smaller inlays.
We actually did a timed race of doing an inlay with the Shaper Origin versus doing it by hand.
Right.
And it was all the same size and everything. And I won by hand, but
right.
just by like a little bit. And like I was going faster than I normally would. So I think Shaper can also like reduce fatigue a lot, you know, because
sure.
doing like 15 of those a day, you know, Shaper, you know, you can do 15 with Shaper, maybe a dozen by hand. So
right on.
I like how it, you can do it longer with Shaper because it just, you know, I'm standing upright looking at it, doing like this instead of with the router, you know, like.
Right. Yeah. A little bit less, it beats you up a little less after a day.
Yes. Yeah, full day of inlays.
Speaking of the inlays, which have become, I don't know if it's your trademark, but it's kind of your trademark. People know you guys for doing that. How have they evolved? Because I've seen that they've become structural. On the last table I saw where there was a corner sort of not there and you just replaced it with fresh wood via these inlays. And I have to imagine that they only started out as like patches, less than full thickness. So what's been the evolution and what is coming next with this technique that you guys are just like, you know, really going in hard on?
It'd be nice to be able to start building them in a 3D manner. You know, cool to have it inlay. Like for example, on that corner that was missing, if you could put one in and then sort of have it down into a leg. That'd be cool.
Okay, interesting. That'd be really hot. Did they start off as just like shallow patches for cracks and things, and then kind of evolve from there?
Yeah, I think right off the bat we had a really challenging slab, and it ended up needing. It just needed deep reinforcement, and so right off the bat it kind of evolved into a structural thing.
And this also, it comes from, I went to the BDDW showroom in the early 2000s, and I was like, wow, this furniture is art. This is really inspiring. Took me another 10 years to start doing woodwork, but, and I just always remembered their inlay work. And so when we started woodworking, it was just sort of something I gravitated toward.
You remember the detail. Got it. That's a wild showroom. Okay, well, let me see. We did makers on social media, and we did makers all the time. Are you guys looking to grow to the point where you would add staff? Or are you happy with having it be the two of you?
I think in the future, maybe 1 to 2 people would be nice to add, just so we could keep producing in the shop, but focus our energy on growing in different ways, exploring different things and mediums, and just really having a better balance of life and work.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it'd be nice to help. But right now we can't afford help because we're saving every penny to build our current house and build out our shop. You know, it's so. But hopefully within the next 5 years, we'll have at least one person helping us out.
Right on. That person could. So, speaking about the shop, and somebody just commented, where do I send a resume? Speaking about the shop and the house build, how's it going?
Oh man, it's awesome. It's awesome. You know, we were gonna build the house just with a buddy and just like figure it out and be like those YouTube builders.
Uh-huh.
But I asked our local builder friend if he was just at all interested in helping us out and kind of gave him like our budget, and he got back immediately and was like, "Yeah, I'd love to help you guys." Like that that sounds great. So, he's been helping us with the whole process. We have his crew. They're doing this amazing, beautiful job. This house is so much better than we ever could have done ourselves. And I
Wow.
recommend hiring someone to do this stuff. Like, it's worth every penny.
Right on.
Ins and
What's,
outs wouldn't even have.
what's the square footage of the house?
What'd you say?
What's the square footage of the house?
It's about 1,500.
Oh, wow. Nice. Is it a modular home or is it built from scratch?
Scratch.
Okay.
About 1,100 downstairs. Like the footprint is 1,100, and then upstairs is lofted, and so it adds another like 400.
Right on. Super exciting. What stage in the build is it at right now?
Framing is almost finished. So the exterior framing is finished. The windows are in, but they're going to do the interior stairs. And then the loft, a bit of a extension. So that's what they're going to be working on this week. And hopefully they finish up this week. They're really, you know, these lovely people that are building our home are extremely busy. So we have accepted that, you know, they're being very kind to us. So we're just sort of like, you guys just get to us when you can. We love you. We just feel so to have them.
But the shop building is done.
Oh, it's done. It went up in like 3 weeks. It was amazing.
Right on. And are you settled in, or is there more work to do, or what?
There's so much more work to do.
We're getting there.
There's walls to build, and
we don't have water yet.
No water.
So this we're building on virgin land. There's no power. There's no water. There's no gas. So we're adding a cistern in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And so until then, we just sort of cart a 7-gallon jug to work with us every day and kind of figure it out. So no bathroom, which is pretty inconvenient, but whatever. And so the infrastructure alone has been really interesting to learn about. But I think we have it all figured out. It's just a matter of checking things off the list, and it's happening.
Yeah, making it happen slowly and surely. Your video froze. Can you guys still hear me?
There we go.
Okay. Jeff Whitney is asking where you guys are from.
Bloomington, Indiana.
Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Right on. And obviously, with the purchase of land and the building of 2 buildings on it, you guys are in Bloomington, staying there long term.
We're pretty committed to Southern Indiana.
Right on. It looks like a beautiful place.
No, it's a college town. This is where Indiana University is. So it's a little liberal oasis in Indiana, and it's a great place to live.
I'd always heard that Indiana was a great resource for gangly puppies, but also for hardwood lumber. A friend of mine grew up on a farm in Indiana, and he was telling me that lumber out there, like you could drive a trailer to Indiana anytime you want, load it with amazing hardwoods, super cheap. So yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe.
Yeah, we look to. What's that? We look forward to being.
I think the audio is breaking up a little bit. What was that last part?
We'd like to be able to gain some lumber from our own land in the future. We've got tons of black walnut, tons of white oak, and nice big old trees. So we'd like to be able to get those when we can, and
That's an awesome resource.
yeah, start planting trees attempted
Well,
carbon zero, zero carbon
in
footprint.
50 years, it'll be an arboretum, and everybody will go to Bloomington just to visit. Um, let's see. Do you guys have any side gigs?
I'm supposed to be fixing 2 mopeds right now.
I'm a property manager for 2 rentals, and then
I'm the fix-it lady also.
I'll do occasional photo work for other local businesses.
Gotcha.
But
Right.
we haven't had time to really do much of that stuff. Well, I mean, obviously, property management is a sort of a on-call job, so you kind of always have to be available. But as far as like photo work, we don't have any extra time right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Is there light at the end of the tunnel? When do you think life is going to be like back to normal?
I think, the last couple of days we've done a lot of new shop, and that's felt really good and
Much
productive.
better.
We can kind of move around in there again, and there's still
I've lost that last bit of audio.
I said I see some light at the end there somewhere.
I think this time
Okay.
here, ask us again.
Right on. I would like that. I would look forward to that. Because it seems, I don't know, keeping up workflow, like I've got a workflow, and if I had to also build a home, I'd go out of my mind. And if I also had to move my shop at the same time and raise a puppy, I'd be like frazzled.
We're tired.
Yeah, we're going a little crazy.
We're tired.
Also,
Well,
if that gets you up at 6 every morning,
Yeah.
it's a pretty intense time.
5:30 this morning.
At this
But-
time,
So it's hard to complain when you have so much to be excited about and thankful for. So
Oh yeah.
we're
Yeah.
just so psyched.
It's a privilege just to have work to do. Some
Yeah.
people life with nothing to do or not knowing what to do, and we've got too much. So that's a privilege.
Yeah, what a problem to have, right?
totally, that's the right attitude. It's easy to get bogged down in your own crap, but honestly, it's like, what an amazing circumstance you're in. That's really good. Scrolling back through some questions here. We got to thank you for one question. Being from a studio art background, Freeman Handcrafted is interested to see how that perspective influences your design process, which is a pretty decent question. Like, a lot of people either build for stability and for strength and for structural integrity, or they build based off of, a small and more boring everyday handful of furniture designs that are already out there that have been done to death. But you guys are doing something a little bit different. Like, I don't typically see the same sort of lightness and delicacy in big pieces of furniture that a lot of your guys' stuff have. And the market dining table is a really good example, because you would take a look at that and it's like, if somebody was building like a farm style table, it's like, let me get those 4x4 turned legs and big heavy aprons. But your table is totally different. It's big and it's solid, but it's light and it's delicate at the same time. So is that something that the background brings in, or is that just, strike men from the scene and put women in charge and that's what you come up with? Or is there an inspiration behind that somewhere?
I'd like to say that it's put a woman in charge and that's what you get. Details, strength, but it's also just an awesomely constructed torsion box that Audie does.
Yeah, the market dining table is a good example, because the torsion box is so solid, and then the table is like solid. It starts with 5/4, and then it ends up being like exactly an inch, and then there's torsion box and there's stretchers. And so it's like this really sculptural, delicate looking table that will last you 100 years. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's all.
Um, conscious of wood grain so we can get the straightest wood grain, the uh, strongest wood that we can for structural things.
Uh-huh.
And then also mid-century modern vibes, right? So that's important, you know, simplicity, practicality, but details.
I think that that grain direction situation and choosing the right type of piece of wood for the right job, that's a really good mark of somebody who's a little bit elevated in what they're doing. 'Cause that's, even if you do all the other things right, like your pieces are cut to the right size and your joinery is well thought out and it's got integrity. The next level is always the wood selection, and as wood selection's always been huge in my mind, just from the background of harvesting trees to cut and mill for wood, because wood selection is paramount. Like you can mill up a log and dry it and have it be garbage because you chose the wrong log or because you didn't turn it the right way. So wood selection starts by like looking at a tree, and it used to be that way. Like they would go out into a forest and tag certain trees to be used for certain things and other trees for totally different things. And yeah, wood selection started there, and it ends up even in the smallest piece. So that piece, that little bit of attention to detail, is something that should be more prevalent. It's kind of not, and it's nice to see when it does happen.
I mean, it's so huge. We've started making chairs, you know,
Yeah.
and wood grain. You cannot ignore it, or
Nope.
it will fail.
Totally. Yeah.
We're lucky to still be small and slow enough to where we can really pay attention to that. You know, you get into the shops that are bigger and have higher production rates, and that stuff gets overlooked.
Yeah, totally. Totally. When you have to crank out a bunch of stuff, you just order the bare minimum amount of wood so that you're not spending too much, and you just make it happen. And I mean, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with production work, but there's all kinds of something right with specialty work where these things are taken into consideration.
Yeah, people who do production work make a lot more money than we do. There's
Tell me about it.
there's no doubt. Like there is no knocking that. It's just not what we're good at.
Yeah, yeah. I know they make more money than me simply because they couldn't possibly make less.
Cheers
So-
to that.
How in a year's time, the house is done and the shop is dialed, and where do you hope to be? Do you hope to be back to normal, or do you hope to be doing? Is there more stuff on the horizon? Is there a new design?
Much I want to do. I would love to teach a 2-week course, and we have 5 students out where, so our strengths are problem solving. I think since we're self-taught, our strengths are like going from design to, creating that piece as a whole. So I would love to host 5 students. They can go get Airbnbs, like maybe pitch a tent out on the land and help them with the piece from start to finish. I think that would be really fun for us and maybe interesting to other people. Another thing. Sorry, do you have a follow-up question?
I was just said I think that would be rad. You have the lands to do it, good shop space. I think it'd be awesome.
I think it could also just kind of help us create a little bit of extra income since our, obviously our mortgage just happened. That's a thing we have now. And another thing I would really like to do is start to have clients come visit and sort of create an experience with them. They can come and, pick out their own wood or their own slab that, maybe, me as a wood hoarder, my dream is to, have several slabs on hand and sort of save them for special projects. So I have clients come out and, like treat them to like a really nice cheese plate and some wine, and we can walk the land and we can show them, you know, our favorite trees, our favorite paths, and talk about design. And I feel like that would be maybe intriguing for some people, and I know I'm doing it.
Take my money. It's yeah. Just, you know,
Like
it's interesting. What's that?
The best part of this job is you know, getting to know people and making friends, right? I mean, so why not up that game a little bit and create a bit of an experience?
Come out and stay.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
Yeah. Well, it also shows that it's not just a job. It's like a passion, and it's something that you guys have like a solid and authentic love for. And yeah, I mean, if you can imbue that into a potential client and into your work, it's different than any other table. What was I just going to ask? I had a really good question. Maybe it'll come back to me. So what about new furniture designs? Is there anything that has kind of been in the back of your mind for a while that you can't wait to make? Yeah, the audio is getting weird.
Can you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, I was asking if there's any new furniture designs that you're excited to get to be able to make.
Any new what? I'm sorry.
Furniture. Yeah, the audio is being pain in the butt. Maybe I'll start writing things down and showing you. Do you guys have any furniture designs that you haven't made yet that you're looking forward to doing?
Yes. Specifically for a new house, it's so inspiring to be able to build things that we need for the house, but also that could enter into the product line.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to build some storage. Like the house has really little storage as far as closets and stuff goes. So I want to build standalone pieces that are big storage units.
Large casework.
Large casework, yeah.
And
Nice.
then I'm gonna do all the hardwood floors. So
Oh wow.
while that's not like a design thing I plan on doing for other people necessarily, I'm looking forward to learning about it and making that really interesting for us. I want to do it in a different way. We'll see how it goes. Everybody, please cross your fingers for me as I regret doing our own flooring.
Do you have special wood set aside for that?
We're going to do white oak for the downstairs and ash for the upstairs. And the ash from trees from my parents' property in northern Indiana.
Wow. How long have you had that material?
4 years.
Were they just clearing land, or was it like emerald ash borer took down a bunch of trees? Yeah.
Yeah. It was starting to affect 2 trees, but they cut them just in time, and integrity is intact.
Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. Now that you guys are putting together your home and you're furniture designers and makers, and you're taking on a lot of stuff on your own here, is there any possibility in the future of Siosi Design being able to handle like an interior as opposed to a couple pieces of furniture in an interior?
That's
Do you think?
kind of always been my goal. I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope that can happen. I mean, one of the biggest bummers sometimes of building furniture is that it rarely goes into a space that you feel is like perfect all the way around, you know, and that you wouldn't change anything. So it'd be nice to be able to create an entire space, and that has always been something that we've wanted to do.
I've had the same thought. That's why I asked. I figured that it was basically the same question. It's like, you know, on a white background, a piece of furniture might look amazing, but in the wrong actual setting, it's like there can be a sore thumb thing going on. And
No
I've,
doubt.
I've seen just photos that you've posted of your living space, and it's like it seems very, very pleasant and beautiful and calming. Uh, so I'm sure that it turned loose on somebody's interior, whether it's like, I don't know, a coffee shop or a lobby somewhere. Uh, I can see that being a place where you guys would excel and come up with a very bright, comfortable, place where anybody can feel at home. We've talked about doing the same thing, but I'm a different type of workaholic than you guys. Like I'm busy all day, 7 days a week, but only some of that is here at the shop. I've got too many other things that just are dragging my interest all over the place. Interesting. So the new shop is done. The movement is almost complete. Are you fully out of your old shop?
Fully out.
Okay. And when do you think you're moving into the new home?
Hopefully by Christmas time.
Oh, wow.
We'll
New
see.
Year. We'll see. Yeah. It won't
And
be
then
done.
once you're in and you're fully on the new property, how big is the new property?
56 acres.
Whew, God,
Yeah.
that's,
That's Indiana.
wow. What other plans do you have for the property, if any?
I need a sweet little tractor shed. We have a tractor.
I remember.
A little
It's
tractor.
a Kubota, and I grew up with it. I grew up bush hogging with it, and then my dad passed it down, and so that thing is awesome. But we can like fit it in the shop now, but it's very much in the way, so it needs its own.
And I need a Tinkertown. I need to have a place that I can put all the motorcycles and all my mechanic stuff and out of the shop.
100%. We need like a 4-car detached garage somewhere with a lift in it, and I get it 100%. I remember being so excited when I saw the post about the tractor because, I mean, I grew up on the beach in Florida, and I've lived in New York City for like the past 20 plus years. I forget how long it's been. And what do I know about tractors? But I have a really good friend in Maine, Ted Dishner, who speaks about his tractor the way he doesn't speak about anything else. He's like, there's my house, there's my car, there's the wood lot, and that's my tractor. And tractor stays in the garage, the cars stay outside, even in Maine, like all winter long. And he's got 25 acres and a beautiful timber framed building, and he harvests all his firewood from the land, and the gardens are beautiful, and it's kind of all because of this tractor, that's possible. And when I saw it, and it's a Kubota tractor, so when I saw you post a photo of the tractor, I was just like, whew, what? I mean, it's clutch on 56 acres of land.
Yes.
Yes, it's essential.
What about gardens and stuff like that? Are you guys into gardening and growing food?
Yeah, we had a garden this year. It was
Moderate success.
moderate success.
First go at it, so we're still learning. And we still need to prep the soil by quite a bit.
I'm getting interrupted audio.
I built a little. What's that?
What was that last bit? The audio cut out.
I was saying, because we don't have water on the land yet, I built a little woodshed, a little covered woodshed with water collection.
Oh, nice.
Of that one, and then so that's what we've been watering the garden with, and it's working. It's working great. Next year will be much better.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I've threatened this before, but I do mean to come and see in person at some point. If things ever slow down over here. Instagram, you know Instagram. Instagram's telling me we've got about a minute left. So,
Okay.
what do you want to leave me with? What would you have people know that they don't already know about you guys?
Man, I think we've put most of our stuff out there. We got no skeletons in these closets. I guess one thing I think is just that, we're not rich. There's a lot of hard work and sacrifice. We really don't have lives outside of work. And every money that we do make goes right back into the business.
Right on.
Something that works for us. But again, have a family to support. We're selfish that way.